All right. My Bob. Well, I have to tear this Grizzly apart again. I was using it today, and I stopped at one place, and it was idling, and all of a sudden it kind of poof, and she died. Well, then you go to crank it, and you get steam out of the exhaust. Well, I know what that means. That means head gasket. And remember when I had this apart, I put in a new head gasket, but I had my doubts about this design. I haven't seen this before, though evidently this is a common thing where it's 3 metal layers. And that's what's supposed to seal. So obviously I'm leaking someplace between the cylinder and the water jacket. I really, the design just doesn't look sensible to me. But like I say, I guess it's common now. And I have been using it, it has been working, but like I say, today, it was good and warm. And then the steam. So she's pumping water. It's funny because it isn't like it's getting pressure into the cooling system. It's just letting water, when it's warm, letting water into the cylinder. But now, like when it's cold, I could crank it over and it would be fine. But as soon as it warms up, there's enough of a leak, it gets water into that cylinder. So, I'll tear it down. Not a horrible job, but I don't like redoing jobs. I don't mind taking something apart one time and fix it, but I don't like to go back on the same thing. So I've got a spare head gasket, but it's exactly the same as this one. The same brand. So I ordered in a different brand, and I'll take a look at that. But God, I wish they had some copper in them. Just 3 layers of steel seems like a tough steel. Anyway, got nothing to do with, well, then I had a haul at home with the tractor, and at least I found out you can tow these reasonably well. But I got the feeling the horses were mocking me as I went by. But it does trail, not a lot of, like some vehicles will not trail, they'll take off, but this one, she trails. So I got it home. And I'll wait until the gasket comes here before I tear it apart. So it'll be 3-4 days, but I can live without that long. Got to get it working right. But I was going to talk. It's a funny thing. A video I did, Show Me Your Gun, I did like 2 weeks ago. I think it's got all kinds of views, which is funny. But that happens sometimes, just off. I don't know. It struck a chord evidently. It's got a lot of views and it's got a lot of comments. Like 300 at least, maybe 400. I know my email is incredibly blocked up. That's what I know. But one of the things, the one comment that I read, it's funny for me, I don't know why some comments come through, some don't. I have to go look at the video to read comments, and then after I've read them, I can't delete them off my email. They keep coming back, so my email is clogged. I expect any day I'll be catching hell. You know, that the email box is full. Anyway, one of the comments was, remember Ruby Ridge. You know, that's what we're talking about, because that whole incident, and if you're not familiar with it, there are plenty of documentation or documentaries on it. I know PBS did one. You know, some are good, some are bad, but they're out there. I'm sure they're on YouTube even. But that, like a lot of other stories like that, I mean, that's not the first and it won't be the last of that sort of overreach by the government that turns into a tragedy. That started out by somebody who they had working, you know, some FBI informant under, you know, cover, working with some skinheads or, you know, some white supremacists, you know, but I don't know how much I believe. But this guy was familiar with him, this Randy Weaver, and he had visited him. So this FBI informant grabbed onto him, trying to get him to shorten a shotgun, cut the barrel off a shotgun. Just pestered him about this, told him, well, it's not that big a deal. How hard is it to cut it, you know? So he cut it down. Well, of course, then the ATF was on it. You know, that was the whole plan. Get him to do it. Get him in a trouble with the ATF so they could turn him to work undercover with these white supremacists. And he really wasn't involved with them, but he knew them, you know. But that was their whole scheme. So when the ATF was going to clamp down on him, you know, he wised up and he just, that's enough of that. It had nothing more to do with him. You know, with this informant or with the ATF. But they were trying to set him up, and that's what the ATF and the FBI, that's what they do. You think of all this, like that kidnapping, a lot of the stuff that they claim to, you know, have caught somebody. A lot of times, this thing that they're after would have never happened if they hadn't incited it in the first place. If they didn't entrap these people, it would have never happened. But that's how they get their informants, putting them in that position. And that's what they're trying to do with him. But he just wouldn't go for it. But I know, like, at a time, another comment in the things was somebody had sent for a solvent trap. You know, it's what people could easily modify into a silencer. And then the ATF had come looking for this solvent trap years later, you know. Well, that's a thing you have to watch for, because I know at the time, like say a year or two ago, they were all over online, these solvent traps that were, you know, easily converted. And some of them were being run by the ATF to purposely try to entrap people into buying an illegal, or legal technically, but buying this legal item to convert it to a silencer without paying their fee. But that's how they get by. You know, that's how the ATF and the FBI work. So you have to be careful about, you know, who you're talking to and, you know, who you're saying things to. You just got to be careful. And they will approach you and try to get you to conspire in something that you would have never in the world considered conspiring in if they hadn't, you know, enticed you into this. So you got to watch it. But it is well to remember things like Ruby Ridge. You know, in the end, he was acquitted of all the charges. They ended up paying him over $3 million. But yeah, having a kid shot and a wife shot. You know, and one of the agents got shot. Way overreaction for a stupid thing that they set him up for. But that's how they work. So you do have to watch yourself. You know, there's a lot of times where I'll be going to show something and I'll think, well, no, I don't want to put that online. You know, don't even want to talk about it. But you have to be aware of that possibility. But yeah, you got to remember stuff like that. The FBI and the ATF got to looking really bad after that. And, you know, it was a while ago, so people tend to, you know, you always think, you hope they learn something from that, but they didn't. They've done it over again after that. You know, they don't handle something like, in the first place, like I said, they instigate it. They entrap people that way. But then when they go after somebody, it gets all out of hand. They go way hard. You know, they had hundreds of agents there at that time, you know, and snipers, and they were, when they went in, they were told, you know, to shoot to kill. They were told to go in hard. And later, then they kind of look at themselves and think, oh, well, that was a mistake. Yeah, but people died. But the same with that Branch Davidian bunch. You know, they went in hard. You know, things like that. In the first place, they shouldn't be entrapping people. You know, that's a horrible way to run a system. You know, an organization to purposely infiltrate it. And they love to do it. They love to infiltrate, and then if they can entrap somebody, you know. You know, and they brag that they've got, in all of these organizations, they've got informers. Well, a lot of time, you know, like on that kidnapping of that governor of Michigan, well, it was mostly informers. You know, there's a few gullible people that got drug into it, but it was an informer deal. You know, they green this shit up. It's a perverted way to do it. Ah, well. But you should, like I say, remember that, and you should actually, if you're not familiar with it, you should familiarize yourself with it, because you're going to see more of that. But they just use, you know, once it goes beyond your local sheriff, it rapidly gets out of hand. You know, then you get the state police involved, then you get the FBI, and you get SWAT, and you get, and then people die for no justifiable reason. It was just a case of entrapment gone wrong, but that's what happens. But a lot of the, like your local sheriffs, they don't quite know how to handle that, so the first thing they do, they call in the feds, and then things just fly to shit when the feds caused the problem in the first place. So be really wary. You just don't trust anybody. And Ed Weaver did not trust people. He just wanted to be left alone, to live his life as he saw fit. But the government doesn't like that, particularly military people, ex-military, which he was. That's when they talk about domestic terrorists. That's what scares them, is the ex-military people, because they understand what's going on. They have seen the elephant, as they used to say in the Civil War. They understand, which just terrifies the government. They're the ones that really look at closely, because they know all this bullshit that goes on. Well, done for the day. I'll have to read through them comments sometime, but my God, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to go through. And a bit repetitive, but it's a funny thing too. I got a few minutes here yet, I think, before it shuts down. An odd thing I had the other day from YouTube. It was some experimental program that they were trying to tell you what videos you should be making. This always seems weird to me. When people talk about that sort of thing, I don't know what kind of video to make. I don't, weird. I don't think about it a hell of a lot. But anyway, in this, it was this experimental program. There was where they would suggest videos that you should do based on what your past videos were. And the first thing that comes up, they had a whole bunch of different stuff, but I was surprised to see that one of the videos I should be doing more videos on the David Bradley, that walk behind David Bradley tractor. Well, that would be nuts. I mean, I've done a few videos on that, but they're only popular with a very limited crowd. Say, like when I do videos on the weaving, there's only a few people that are going to be interested in that. That's okay with me. Or working on the motorcycles, I always get that. Or even like that axe head the other day, I get this like warning from YouTube that, fewer viewers are interested in this video. I don't really care. I mean, I like it if I can be helpful for somebody, but I don't make videos like that, I mean, with that in mind. I just, whatever I'm working on or whatever I'm doing at the moment or something that's on my mind. or like this Ruby Ridge thing that somebody had brought up. We're losing daylight fast. But the funny part is, you know, they were trying to get me to do more of those kind of videos, was their idea. But in truth, what gets the views for me is not those. The videos that I talk about current events, you know, things going on, that actually gets more views. That actually makes me more money. Ones like the weaving video, you know, there's very little interest. In fact, it was funny because, you know, somebody had said that got no interest in that. Well, that's a kind of a mistake. That sort of thing, you don't have to be enthused about, but you should understand the basic concept, because it is one of the hallmarks of a civilization. You know, that and coining money, you know, that's right up there. But you don't have to be interested in that stuff. And also, I mean, I tend to digress a lot. You know, I don't know now what I'm going to even title this video. It's just whatever is on my mind is what I talk about. But on that, like on that Show Me Your Gun video, in the end I'll probably make a couple $100 on that video. Seems crazy to me because that was a kind of an off thing, you know, just that somebody had mentioned about that going on, and I had seen that video, which is fascinating. But keep in mind that you have to watch that people will try to set you up. It's a shame. That's a horrible way to work. Well, she's well dark. Silver color, wait a minute.